Okay, we are Team Straight Genius, and thank you, Matt, for prepping us for Caltech right there. We actually looked at Caltech and the facilities management department itself. It aligned with Caltech, and we assessed the current business situation and analyzed the industry. We used research using APA, which is a company that compares facilities management in the educational environment. We also used the Times that he mentioned before, and we did surveys based on the companies or on the universities off of APA website. Our responses were not that great, but we did get some responses that we were able to use. We also interviewed some of the management and also some of the lower level employees at the facilities department itself. And we shifted through a lot of the information that Matt sent us, enough that we could write a book for you right now. As you can tell, we were fully immersed in Caltech itself, so we are covered in orange right now. So we're going to go ahead and hand it over to Amir, who's going to go ahead and go through the analysis.
Yeah, so we want to start out with a SWOT analysis and kind of highlight a few things here. Starting off with the strengths, obviously as Matt mentioned, we're the #1 research university in the world. Also, Caltech is very small as far as population, so they kind of have a unique proposition where they can create unique experiences for these top researchers in the world. For example, there is Mr. Sternberg, who is a bio and a worm researcher, and he's able to create this like crazy state-of-the-art facility just for worm research. As far as weaknesses, I wanted to highlight weak information systems and timely responses. As far as, for example, faculty and students who put in work orders may not get timely responses, and Caltech might not give them proper responses in addressing what they need. And there's obviously room for improvement right there. As far as opportunities go, there's major technological advancements today where Caltech can take advantage of, and this is mobile, tablets, and also cloud infrastructure and cloud software and technology. For example, they can use this as an efficiency play for job technicians to actually use this on site while they're on the job, or use the mobile technologies and tablets while they're at the job site. As far as threats go, Caltech has the risk of losing their faculty members or researchers to other top institutions, and this can happen because if the service is not up to par for them, and also they can lose out to these other top institutions by them offering compensation packages that are higher for the other universities. If we go on to the next slide. So over here you see the World University Rankings, and this is by Times Higher Education. You obviously see Caltech as #1, Harvard and University of Oxford as #2, Stanford is #4, and MIT is #5. Here you see a ranking score. Caltech is at 94.9, and you have MIT all the way down at 93.0. The way they actually measure this is they have their own formula, and it's based on several variables. It's research, citations, international outlook, income in the industry, and also teaching. They actually weight all these factors, so the highest weighted is research and citations. One area of improvement for Caltech where they can increase their score even more is international outlook, and that does not mean international enrollment. That's more of researchers collaborating with more researchers globally and internationally. One other thing to note is that their graduate student size is very small in comparison to the other top universities. Okay.
So the 4 critical success factors that are going to maintain and recruit top researchers are technology, continuous advancements of technology. Matt touched upon how before Caltech was not up to date. They're going to continue to have to improve their technology as new technology comes to the market. The second is learning and development aligned with customer service, project management skills, and technological applications. Third is communications between divisions, teams, clients, as well as at a corporate level. Currently, there are barriers between a lot of the divisions and a lack of communication that Matt has been trying to improve since he's been at Caltech. And fourth, the bottom line is culture. Many times, a change management will go into place, but without a buy-in from the employees, it usually fizzled out or is unsuccessful within the first couple months.
Okay, so going into the alternatives, we've selected 3 that we've identified as best practices for Caltech for our suggestions. First is unrelated diversification, which essentially will restructure the facilities management organization, and it'll turn it into more of a consulting service. So what that means is it's a focused differentiation. We employ an HR development and training for employees. We basically shift the administrative staff and facilities management to become more of a point person system. And what that means is that each researcher will be designated a specific point person. So a point person can have maybe 5 to 10 or more, considering how many work orders are being placed. And they'd be responsible for work orders from inception to completion. So they'd be able to also prioritize the work orders. They'd be able to identify bottlenecks within the process, so then they can facilitate it becoming more streamlined and faster. And they'd also provide researchers and the customers with real-time updates on statuses. So it'd be their point of contact. And I know their technology is going to assist with that, but it'll also provide a more personalized touch to it, which is very unique compared to any other school that's currently, and they can take advantage of their size because no other school would be able to provide that kind of personalized service. The second one is differentiation, which is integration of smart technology, which could essentially replace technicians and staff, but it would require a high capital investment of restructuring the current buildings in order to implement this smart technology. So it would be more proactive and preventative measures. So if there's something going on, they'd identify it, be able to place it in the system and kind of streamline it that way. The way that Caltech can benefit from it is because it's smaller than other schools. So yes, it would be costly, but it would be less costly than it would be, for example, Harvard to implement something like this with thousands of other students or buildings and facilities to manage. And then lastly, we have the status quo, which is they don't technically have a very specific corporate strategy in place, but they do have a lot of technical and functional level strategies that they are implementing. For example, the change management implementation, facilitate the technology process changes and working with improving the services that they already are offering. So it's not on a corporate level strategy, but it is working to improve their process currently. And also after conducting interviews and such, we've identified that they could be transitioning into a related diversification. In speaking with Matt's boss, we've identified that they could right now, the way that they operate is student housing is separate. So they have separate organizations that don't really communicate, but they utilize the economies of scope. So if there's a work order issue, they'll contact facilities management to help them, and they'll create 2 duplicate work order processes. So if they can streamline it into one, it would take advantage of their economies of scope and basically have one central facilities management organization. And this is our recommendation. Facilities management team has been very good at aligning their budget with the forecasted budget with the actual expenditure. So this one actually would be the most cost effective for them because it wouldn't require a lot of additional capital. It would basically just reassign responsibilities for the facilities management administration to their, so they wouldn't have to rehire, they wouldn't have to implement new technology aside from what they're already doing, and it would just be kind of just reorganizing the structure. This would require a change in culture, which is another task we were assigned to, which is create a new mission statement, which is right here. So the new mission statement is, our mission is to retain and develop solutions-oriented people who deliver high-quality, cost-effective results in an efficient manner while exceeding expectations in customer service. Facilities aims to reinforce the standard of excellence by creating a suitable space for collaboration and where world-class research is enhanced. So it addresses all 4 critical success factors, and our new tagline would be building space for innovation. I know the current facilities tagline is time, dime, and shine, but it's kind of very exact and one-dimensional. So by creating something more general and broad, it allows the employees to kind of be a little bit more innovative with what they believe that affects the tagline for them. And that was
Okay, so here's the famous STAR model that we all love. And really our strategy is to create a high-level customer service organization. And how we're going to do that is by differentiating ourselves from other facility management divisions at other universities by offering a white glove service and providing a solution-oriented, consultative approach to solving problems as opposed to just a service and repair. So most of the change is going to be taking place in the structure. Currently, Caltech is more of a flat functional organization, and our structure is more of a matrix. This includes the addition of division leaders, which are currently not in place, and I know that Matt had considered adding to the team, as well as cross-functional teams. Both of these will help transfer knowledge, as well as increase transparency and communication across the divisions. And lastly, the addition of the point person, of the consultant, that is the project team leader for individual researchers that they're assigned to. The second is process, which Matt did cover a lot upon. They're already starting to implement a lot of the tactical strategies within this process, so I'll just go on to rewards. What we really need is to control people's behavior and make sure that they're aligned with this new strategic goal and change management. And some of the rewards that we thought of putting in place to motivate these people is potential pay upgrade for those who complete project management training, maybe a bonus for percentage of on-time work orders completed, as well as reviews of quarterly customer reviews and satisfaction surveys. Also bonuses tied to the success of the scientist project or just recognition of the facilities team so they feel like they're part of the process, and then establishing regular performance metrics. And lastly is people, really including and implementing extensive training and development aligned with the customer service development, preventative maintenance, as well as usage of technology and and just understanding the transparency of the work order process.
As Rachel mentioned, a lot of the main points that we are looking to hit is the rewards and also the preventative maintenance. But initially, we're looking at the implementation plan that will last about 2.5 years, starting within the next quarter. We initially look to start with determining what point person and what project managers that will be needed for each area. We're looking at maybe, like Melissa said, about one person for 5 to 10 researchers or department areas. So we're looking to determine the project areas and also interviewing, hiring those people within that first year. We also will move on to training for those project managers and any other employee to be able to further their career with certifications, and that also brings us into communication and the culture, which creating a weekly or a daily maybe huddle meeting, which updates employees with the current change that's going on with the company, or asking them for their input regarding the mission. I know we provided a mission and a vision. However, having employees put in information, being able to have their say into the mission gives them some kind of buy-in into the mission itself. We also look at evaluating the current recognition program. They do have a current recognition program where each employee nominates someone, but we're looking as to what Rachel had said, being able to reward them based on what the researchers' success and what they have come out with. And then the last one, preventative maintenance. Creating a monthly inspection program, being able to proactively be able to fix anything in the buildings that are necessary before that they need to request those changes.
And we'll go ahead and discuss the balanced scorecard of our strategic alternative. First, let's tackle customer perspective. Our objective in this section is really customer satisfaction is really the focal point. And how we're going to measure that is we're going to look essentially how long it takes for a work order to be completed and how effective does the FM team communicate that with their clients. Our target is to reach about a 90% satisfaction rate with customer surveys. And the initiative that we will set in place to accomplish that is we would like to appoint a point person while implementing new technology software for real-time work order status. Regarding internal business perspectives, we would like to accomplish, basically, we want to improve our communications both internally and externally. And we would like to measure that by measuring the level of client awareness within the work order status. How aware is the client from the point of request to the point of completion? And how well are they informed about these projects? We'd like to target that with response emails to initial inquiry within 12 hours. And our point person would follow up within 4 hours after that initial email. And the initiatives is point person communicates with technicians. We'd like to really stress open communication between our point person and to its clients. And we'd like to establish some type of standard operating procedure as far as managing information and through our software program. Regarding innovation and learning perspective, we would like to enhance training through continued education programs. We would like to measure this by simply saying how well the workforce is improving and how much of a learning environment or learning organization that we are creating. We'd like to hit a 90% pass rate of a skill test, and we figured, these tests should be situation-based tests to really test their consulting or customer service skills. And the initiatives for this would be to proactively promote education programs. So we really want to have the managers to champion a culture of learning and training. And lastly, our financial perspectives. We'd like to reallocate funds to pay for this point person initiative by monitoring monthly expenditures. And our goal is to reduce utilities costs by 30%, which is currently set at $4.55 per gross square foot, and reduce grounds by approximately 40%. And hopefully we can accomplish that by updating buildings with energy efficient materials, renewable energy sources such as solar panels, and ultimately eliminating waste. And with your permission, we'd like to implement this plan as soon as possible.
In regards with the culture and the mission statement, it's important also for the buy-in that the employees actually feel like they participated in the creation. So as Jim Cowell said, it's kind of the current facility's mission statement is his vision, and so he wants to actually change it to where it's a shared vision. In order to do that, you kind of would want to implement one of the gatherings that you kind of have so that they can create it. I feel like the mission statement that we've come up with, and even if you've come up with a different one, would have the same kind of values. So essentially they would come up with the same mission statement. You can reword it however you want to. But the buy-in is very important in order to create that with the culture change and shift. So it's important for them to be a part of it, especially since they've been a part of the organization for years. So that's one thing that we wanted to highlight. But if you have any other questions, then
Very good.
just to highlight.
Just leave it, just leave it.
Very nice.
We've been struggling to figure out for the longest time what Matt did in his presentation
That was so
that
amazing.
wowed Miss Data, and honestly, we found out that it was the moving kind of
So it went up the life cycle. I'll never forget that. It went up the life cycle.
Specifically, we were like, all right, we're on it.
What can I say?
That was another deliverable right there.
Very nice.
If you have any further questions, feel free to ask us. We'd also like to ask permission from the board to accept our strategic alternative number 1. based on our research and our suggestions, to consider that as being the most viable for them financially, and also to deliver all of their critical success factors as well. Thank you.
Let's go into any questions.
Bob kept still moving it. You're making it easy for us? The Caltech group, did anyone have any questions about our implementation? We can go into further detail. I know it's stated more in depth in our paper, but we kind of just touched on with the time constraints that we had with what we wanted to present for the deliverables. So,
Oh, one or two. I mean, since
Yeah.
we're here, why not? First of all, fantastic job. You've absolutely translated, I think, what you've heard these last several months into a very clear presentation and recommendation. So good job on that, absolutely. How do you think alternative one is in alignment with what you heard from the faculty side in talking with Mike Miranda, say, and also the internal perspective in terms of what they feel is most valuable and important and value adding for Caltech?
well, for our conversation with Jim Cowell, it does align with what his vision was. So essentially, the communication was a huge disconnect, because if a technician worked on a project, they would communicate to whoever was in the close vicinity of the area saying, hey, we're done with this. But it never might not have gotten communicated to the researcher who actually placed the order. So from the researcher perspective or the customer perspective, they don't know what's going on. They don't know what's being done. There's a disconnect in the process. And it's most important for them to be aware of what's going on, because that's the main customer. That's who you're trying to satisfy. That's who you're serving. So for us, if they have a point person, they have someone that they know is dedicated to them, that they can service any kind of need that they have. If they have a question, they know who to go to answer. There's no disconnect in communication. They know there's one person to go to help them with any kind of question they have, and it's just consistent service that's provided.
In addition, when we talked to Bill, your boss,
Mhm.
he did mention, he's saying way down the line, he's saying way in the future, that there would be a possibility that facilities would be able to service the researchers on a one-on-one basis, on a personal level. And so we said, why way down the line? Why not now? Why not do it now where they are able to service the researchers on a one-on-one basis or on a personal level? That doesn't have to be more detail-oriented, where they can start the training now and be able to service them on whatever level that they need to.
And that kind of personal touch you really can't get at any other university. It's too, especially the ones that are close in competition with you in regards to the Times Higher ranking, because they're so much larger, they wouldn't be able to service that kind of personalized service. And also, what he was saying was that down the line, he would hope that it would be under one roof. So not only just be researchers, but it would also be student housing, so that it comes together. But right now, you guys are working to kind of streamline and maintain the process to become more efficient within facilities on its own. So you have your work cut out for you as is. So, but once that's kind of finalized and figured out, then you can kind of expand to another level, which is more suited for smaller schools, because larger schools can't accommodate that, but most smaller schools do already. So he's saying that that's down the line, that you'll be able to facilitate, you'll be able to accommodate student housing in addition to researchers.
Very good.
We actually originally thought of decentralizing facilities altogether, and so this is kind of like our thought process. Let's break up facilities management. Let's have every department have their own facilities management, and from there it kind of morphed into, well, that sounds really inefficient. Let's have
do
a
it that
point
way.
person, right? So initially, our rationale is, one person can really, over time, really learn and get to know on a personal level the researchers. For me personally, if I was just in charge of just this room versus the entire building, I could know when the carpet starts to peel off, when the lights start to go out, because I know this room. And so the rationale behind the point person is that they're not charged with the entire campus, but their specified scope of work is maybe just a section of the campus, and the relationships that they build with those people on that campus. We just felt that it would really boost the efficiency in the workflow process when all the requests and information is going both ways would funnel through a contact person, so that we can read, in a sense, of a concierge feel to that facilities management.
Makes sense.
To give you some real life perspective too, the company, when I was talking to Jim, we kind of aligned a lot of the visions that my current company is with them because our neutrals, our mediators are very independent contractors. So we really want to retain them. We attract the best, we want to retain the best. They're all independent contractors and they have the choice to leave or stay at our company, same as your researchers.
Mhm.
So we've employed a similar kind of point person system where they have a specific person that they know they can go to for any kind of issue. So even if it's not a technological issue, I know that the technology will be able to give them up-to-date information real time, but it's not the same as having a real person's touch. And it really depends on the generation you're at too, but if you give them that kind of personalized experience, it makes a world of difference. And you would never be able to replicate that anywhere else. So that kind of would differentiate you in such a way that when they go to conferences, when they talk to other researchers, you're never going to get that kind of relationship, that kind of personalization, and so it would really put you at a level above any others. So, and with Caltech being a smaller school, you're able to do that. So I think you should just capitalize on that kind of ability, that strength.
Thank you. That's a very clear explanation. One follow-up, and then I'm sure you have a question or two. What would you say would be a threat to your recommendation from occurring? So what would get in the way?
The training, the cost of training, I mean, it depends on how well the administrative staff is already trained in order to do the work order prioritization. I don't think that they are, based on our conversations, are able to prioritize because it's mainly reserved. Right now, there's no specific person that can prioritize the orders except for supervisors.
Mm-hmm.
So it would require a high level of training with regards to the administrative staff. So they'd have to understand the process from beginning to end. They'd have to know all the different complexities involved. They'd have to know where there could be bottlenecks. They have to know where they can fix it. So they have to be very solutions oriented. So you'd have to select the administrative staff that's already been seasoned, that knows the process well, that wouldn't require as much training. It could come as a little bit more cost. I know your budget's very well aligned. I mean, we looked at it, and down to the penny, I want to say, maybe not that specific, but it's very close.
Yeah.
So it might require a little bit more capital expenditure, but not as much as any of the other alternatives that we've had. It would definitely cost a little bit more probably than the current structure because I know you've already budgeted that into your plan.
Mm-hmm.
But the service and the benefits that you could provide as a result would outweigh the cost, I feel.
And one which really lies that the failure of success really hinges on that one person. Is really one of the threats, which really exemplifies the importance of finding the right person, training them, indoctrinating them, and hence why the training is so important. But again, yeah, that's one potential pitfall is you get one deadbeat.
Yes, it's true.
There's no show, right? But,
That's right.
But essentially, we understand that risk, but we feel that the benefits that we see from this type of program, we think it is not worth it.
And in all honesty, at my company anyway, when we employ this kind of system, the customers or the people that we have as independent contractors appreciate it so much, and you can never get that kind of service at any other level or any other competitor. And I know it works, and so it's not that much more to provide the personalization to complement the technology that you guys are already doing. Because if it's easy for the technicians or the researchers to kind of look and check on their system, it's that much easier for your staff to kind of give them that personalized update, like, hey, this is what's going on, just to remind you, so that it's there in front of their face, and it's just a different experience that you can't replicate.
Thank you.
Anybody from the class?
I have a question, just quickly. First, thank you. This is really very good, and you guys probably saw enough of higher education culture to know there's a lot of collaboration among institutions that in the commercial sector would be competitors who don't want to share this. So there will be a lot of leverage out of your ideas here because this guy is a true evangelist for this stuff. So I just want to know, just in general, what were you most surprised to learn in sifting through all the mounds of data and talking to all kinds of different people? What was the biggest surprise?
I was surprised it was so complex. I just thought, hey,
Yeah.
if it's broke, we'll fix it. Hey, wow.
It feels that way sometimes.
First thing was a rude awakening.
Facility management.
Yeah, I think it was a lot. how much it took to be able to support a researcher. We weren't aware, we just thought it was like, here's your building and you go for it and you just figure out what you need to. But there's so much involved in it. I think that was our biggest surprise, learning, you know, how many steps it takes and how much process it takes in there to be able to support them.
And the wow factor was really, you guys customized labs for people, whereas other universities, they just outfit the existing lab for the researcher. You guys bring it down, all the way down to the tile, to the mahogany table, to whatever wood they want, to the everything. So it's a different, detailed process that we weren't accustomed to.
Pretty impressive, actually.
Very impressive.
So some of the stuff that we did learn from the surveys though, which was pretty interesting, it's in the paper, is that a lot of the schools have the same technology, but they use it in a different way. And I think that was what was interesting to me, was that, you know, some of them have the same technology or newer, but yet at the same time they have a different process or a different way of implementing those technologies.
Can I ask a question? Is your what you're suggesting, is it something that's happening in another industry that you're applying to facilities, or?
Well, what Melissa mentioned in her industry with
It's a completely different industry. Mine is in dispute resolution. So with mediators and arbitrators. But I mean, it's very applicable to what you're providing, because essentially they're both independent contractors that are coming to you because of the service that you're offering them. They basically have individual businesses that they can take anywhere else if they want to, but they choose to go to your facility, university, because of the stuff, what you're offering them. Whether it's prestige, whether it's facilities, so in all aspects it's a package deal for them. And so you're just providing them something they can never get anywhere else. And yeah, it was very interesting. It was a very interesting experience working with Matt. Very knowledgeable. I think I think it's safe to say we all learned pretty well.
I think I want to be a scientist now.
I like the word shape then.
Very nice.
Very good.
I do have one question, because in this alternative